All right, man. We're back.
Yes, sir.
As always, Deshaun Jones, one half of Enveonline.
And the other half is our Johnson.
Thanks for tuning in. If you tuned in and you saw that intro clip, that comes straight from the University of New Hampshire versus Albany. We just finished that game back Saturday evening, man. How was the game in your opinion before we jump into everything?
It was a good game. It was what I expected. Two teams, one that was looking to improve their win streak, and another team that was hungry for a win after what happened last week.
Yeah, and on that intro clip that comes from, that was the quarterback, Max, and he threw that to Joey Cochran, number 15. Sorry if I mispronounced your last name, so I'm just going to say number 15. There's a lot to discuss, man. Usually when we do our podcast, we throw a bunch of topics out there, but we decided to switch it up now that CAA football is in full effect. So for this specific podcast, we're going to keep it strictly to CAA football, and we primarily cover the University of Albany. So we're going to give you a lot of content around UALBANY, who they play. So for this week, we're going to dive into New Hampshire versus UALBANY.
Yes.
Tough game, in my opinion. Now, my partner might say different, but in my opinion, it was a close game. UALBANY went down swinging. You know, it's nothing wrong with that. We're going to get into a lot of particulars to go in that. We're going to talk about the coach, impact players. We're going to talk about everything with this. So before we go to the next clip, man, we got a chance after to attend the press. We talked to UALBANY, and then we hustled our way, ran up some hills, jumped through some mountains, and got an exclusive with the University of New Hampshire's head coach, Rick Santos. What did you think about the press conference and some of the things he was talking about?
Santos?
Yeah.
I like what he said. It was two things. One thing, first thing he said, a lot of people don't know, last year New Hampshire went 3-0, and then they finished the season 3-8. So for him to have the mindset to say, look, you know, it's good that we got this win. It's good that we got the 2-0. That's the good news. But, you know, we still got a long way to go. And I think he was on it, if I'm not mistaken, he was on that staff last year. So I think him seeing how they starting, he's like, you know, the good news is we're starting how we started last year, but let's continue from, you know, and just make sure that we keep our headset right, as opposed to last season where it was 8 straight games. You know, they don't want to do that again, you know.
Definitely. Engineer, can we load up the second clip of the coach? Then we're going to come right back.
Would you describe this team? It seems like you guys are a tough physical team.
We do that, and I think it's something that was instilled in me from the longtime head coach here, Sean McDonald. You know, he coached me when I was a student athlete. He was my mentor. He was my first opportunity to get into coaching. So yeah, I mean, that's always been something. It's a blue collar workman-like mentality. We say it's a construction worker mentality. So we're going to build it up every week, and regardless of what kind of a masterpiece that we build, we gotta kind of go for the next one, try to rebuild for the next one. So we're 2-0 in the conference. That's great. But we know we got a really tough challenge next week. So we always say 24-hour rule. Enjoy it, good, bad, or different. Flush it, then we got to get back to work tomorrow.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, last question.
Yeah.
How good is it going to feel now bus ride back home tonight?
It feels much better. 3.5, 4 hours after a loss. It's going to feel great.
Okay. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, thank you.
There you have it from the head coach. In that clip, it was longer, about 3 minutes, but I just shortened it to that specific part because I thought it was very important when he was talking about the culture, them being blue-collared, hardworking. From what we saw, did that describe what you saw out on the field?
Yeah. Do you want me to go more in depth about the game?
Definitely. Definitely.
Because I didn't know where you wanted to break it up at.
We're going to start with that because I thought it was important that he pointed that out.
It was blue collar. Let me explain. If you go and look at the stats, New Hampshire basically had long drives. When they scored, their drives were like 5 to 6 minutes. So that means they kept the defense on the field. I mean, UALBANY kind of shot themselves in the foot also with the penalties, and we'll get to that in a little bit. but they had methodical long drives that took a lot of time off the clock, and put a lot of wear and tear on that UAlbany defense, and it kept UAlbany's offense off the field. So it made their opportunities limited. Which if you're a solid team, that's what you can do. You know what I'm saying? You know how to do. I think UAlbany kind of had the same mentality, but they didn't execute it.
And I'm going to touch on the point you just said about keeping them off the field. They did that all the way to the last play of the game.
Yeah.
You had to be there to see it, so I encourage people to go out and support your CAA football teams. But
fullsports.com.
Definitely. UAlbany had the ball, was about to get the ball back, if I'm correct. Or no, it was the fourth down from New Hampshire, and the clock is ticking. I'm like, all right. What the coach did was he purposely ran 45 seconds off the clock and just accepted the penalty to give the ball back to UAlbany with 11 seconds on the clock, because he knew a minute, anything can happen. 11 seconds, you're going to need a prayer, Jesus Christ, or whatever God you pray to.
Yeah.
So that was smart coaching and clock management. I just wanted to point that out.
No, I mean, when you talk about the going down the field,
yeah.
I think what impressed me about that, they kind of, in my opinion, what New Hampshire did was, and Santos talked about it in the press clip. I don't know if you want to talk about that now or wait. But
we could.
He elaborated. He said that they got a little too lax on defense. What it was is that I think he initially had the plan of letting them work down the field. If anybody knows about football, you give me a lot of credit, which, thank you for that. When you're up on a big lead, you want the team to come down the field, but you want them to work it and work the time off the clock. I think that was his initial thought, but I think there was some miscues, some misreads, some miscoverages.
Oh,
so
hold on.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It wasn't the quarterback from UAlbany lighting that thing up, man.
I mean, no.
Come on, we're going to talk about it.
That's UAlbany's job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's UAlbany's job to do. But what I think is that he wanted to make them work down the field and use a lot of time off the clock, as opposed to they were getting strikes down the field. So credit to UAlbany for that part. But I think also it's a different type of defense. When they were playing heads up, man up, they weren't really executing, and we'll talk about those issues, later on. But I think that, New Hampshire came with a goal, came with a plan. I think they knew they executed it well. And so I salute to them. They executed it very well.
So we got a lot more to talk about on this topic, but I want to go back to the previous podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You threw something out there and you hit the nail right in the head, so I have to give you credit for it.
Okay.
Before the season started, when we did our podcast, I threw a question at you. I said, what are some teams to look out for?
Mm-hmm.
What are some teams that are going to surprise people? You gave 4 teams. You hit the nail on the head with each 4 team, but what did you specifically say about New Hampshire?
I said New Hampshire is a team that's being slept on, and nobody will see them coming. And I think they're one of the surprise teams that's going to come out of the CAA. I really honestly feel like that. I think they got the potential to be up there fighting for a playoff spot, because I think, everybody clearly is going to go to Villanova and Rhode Island because they were the top one of the 2 or 3 top teams last year. But New Hampshire, even though they had that losing streak, I really think, even with Santos, the way I was looking at him on media day and hearing everything that he was saying, you could kind of tell he was going to bring a new energy. And I saw it when he was on the sideline. You know what I mean? So.
Mm-hmm. So now that that's kind of out the way and you called that, I know it's early.
Yeah.
We're only 2 games in, so I know people say, well, wait till week 7, wait till week 8. You called it with Villanova. You called it with New Hampshire. You called it with the 2 other teams, Rhode Island, and was it William and
Mary? Yeah, they're very good too. Nobody's paying attention to them either right now, but they're very good too.
They're shocking people.
Yeah.
Do you think that this conference is wide open, or do you think that those teams are going to persist where they're at the way it's looking right now? We're only in week 2.
I want to say wide open. I mean, or are we talking about the other? Because I'm trying to think there's like 13 teams. So I'm talking about those 4 teams. I think they will persist. I think other teams that have new coaches and new programs are still trying to develop. Delaware is doing great. They had a good team. Before COVID, they had a good team. And then once COVID hit, it kind of changed a lot of things. So maybe they're just picking up where they left off at. But Villanova is seeming fine. I think Rhode Island will stay up there. I really think Rhode Island is the team that is not being respected as far as like I think like people thinking that they're just a good team. They're good on both sides of the ball. Like they complement each other. The defense complements them. The defense gets stops. The defense gets turnovers. That defense is good. And then you got Kareem Hill and the boys back there on the offense, and they do what they have to do. They create issues and problems. And for whatever reason, when you look up, they're usually up by like 14. So to them.
We're going to have to address the elephant in the room. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of positive things on the side of New Hampshire going right defensively and offensively. Mm-hmm. But I want to bring up, in my opinion, what was the impact player of the game.
Okay.
So I got a clip that I'm going to show. Shout out to the engineer, Tyler, who's keeping us looking lovely up here. Hey, Tyler, can you throw up that third clip for us? Mm-hmm. So right before he presses play, for me, the impact player of the game is none other than Dylan, mm-hmm. the running back. I can't pronounce his last name, so I'm going to stick to the first name. Shout out to number 20 on New Hampshire, which was the running back. Now, he just earned a CAA award as co-offensive player of the week. He racked up 202 yards on that game. Mm-hmm. As the coach said in the press conference, he looked like a man amongst boys.
Facts.
Can we line that up? Now,
yeah,
those were just some of the highlights. Mm-hmm. Now, I know when you see that, you might say, oh, those 3 touchdowns look nicely. Trust me, I have plenty more footage of Dylan, what he was doing at Casey Stadium. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to talk about here because mm-hmm. the coach hit the nail right on the head saying he looked like a man amongst boys.
Right.
I got some analogies I'm going to throw in here. Well, before I get into mine, because I don't want to hog the mic, what did you think about Dylan's performance?
Oh, I thought it was super. I thought it was on a scale of 1 to 10. I think his running game, UALBANY knew they were running, and they still couldn't stop him. You understand what I'm saying? That last clip you showed was kind of like the whole, it put everything in perspective. Like he basically just took off. That was the dagger run. That was it. Once
you text me, I said, what was that? You text me dagger symbol.
Yeah, that was the dagger.
Because had they would that play, that last highlight that you guys are gonna watch on the playback, just to give some context, UALBANY was building. They was cutting the lead, mm-hmm. and it was only down, I want to say at that point maybe 5 points.
Yeah,
and it was a 3rd down. Had they would have made a stop, they would have got the ball back with a lot of time on the clock, being mm-hmm. down 5 points. Mm-hmm. That was literally the dagger, the camel clutch.
Yeah.
Night.
Yeah, that was facts. He definitely did his thing. And, being that he's in New Hampshire, and it's not a shot at them, I think it's because it's New Hampshire, because last year they didn't succeed well, and they're at the bottom, nobody's seeing them. And I'm pretty sure Coach Santos likes it like that. Like, we're just going to come in here, and you're going to not see the punch coming, and we're going to hit you right in the face. And I don't blame him for feeling that way.
Now, I want to go in a little more because, like, I was shocked by his performance. I haven't seen him play last year, but mm-hmm. very versatile. Mm-hmm. Like I said, those were just 3 highlights. It was plenty more. Mm-hmm. He's the type of back that once he hits the line, you get an extra 2 or 3 yards.
Yeah.
Then I'm seeing his speed. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to cap, but that looked like 4.3 speed.
Yeah.
It looked like 4.3 speed to me.
Right.
If I have to give a little analogy of how slept on, as you said, he is because he's in New Hampshire, I'm going to give you guys some homework. So I have a family member from the not from the university, but from the Albany area, done playing football. So early 2000s, my family member name is Kareem Jones. Big player for Lansingburg. Don't believe me, look up his stats. Google Kareem Jones, Lansingburg. Every time I would bring him up about the best players to come out the capital region, I will always get a and but. You know what the criticism was? And it's Lansingburg. They play a lower division. But he has a hell of a line. That's the only reason why he's racking up them yards. That's the only reason why he's having games where he's having 500 yards, 4 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns. It's because of the line. Look up his stats. There's no way that you can do that just off a line. Speed, talent, weight room. The kid had it all. Now, that's just an analogy. Not doing that because it's my family member. Like I said, that's a little bit of homework for you guys from upstate New York. Going back to Dylan, that's not that line, man.
Yeah.
You see why I gave the analogy of what people were saying about my cousin Kareem Jones in Lansingburg? It was the line. That wasn't the line, man. That kid is talented.
Yeah.
That looked like weight room, squats, hill runs. That looked like 4.3 speed.
Right.
So shout out to that young man for his preparation for the game. Whatever work he does in the off season in the weight room, it showed, and it showed well. It's the reason why the CAA football conference gave him that co-offensive player of the week award for what he put on, man.
Facts. I agree. I think that as long as he keeps running, as long as he keeps doing what he's doing, they'll be straight. Their running game is powerful. I mean, you got to stop him. You know what I mean? It's hard to stop that guy. It definitely is hard to stop him, you know.
You want to get on the UALBANY side, or do we got some more to talk about with New Hampshire? Because we got to talk about both teams.
I think I just want to talk about just the one thing I want to elaborate. They had a lot of powerful, methodical drives. That's something that a lot of schools want to do. I think when they don't really have, and I'm not judging them, I'm just saying I didn't see a deep threat. I saw where they was fighting. Like with them, with New Hampshire, they're trying to fight you within the 10 yards. So they're trying to pound the ball, methodically move down the field. They're going to keep chucking away, and all of a sudden, boom, they're in the end zone. You know, that's what they're going to do. They're just going to keep fighting. Their defense is very well. Basically, it's what I used to see from UALBANY years ago when I forgot the running back's name. But
is it Mofo?
No, it was before Mofo. Mofo
Okay.
replaced that guy. That kid, that young man.
So we talking 5-6 years ago?
He was
Mofo
like Mofo.
played for 4
Mofo
years.
was there, but there was another guy there, and I forgot his name. Is right off the tip of my head, on the tip of my tongue. But when he was running, they were doing well because they didn't have any deep threats. And I think New Hampshire is a thing of, it's not they don't have any deep threats. They like to beat at you all day, and if you start playing their game, you're gonna lose. So if you think that you're going to sit there and try to, like, methodically, if you keep letting them stay on the field, it's going to get worse. It's going to get bad for you. Like, you can't get them off the field, it's going to go bad. And I think UALBANY played a part in it. And I know some of it has to do with they did things to themselves to keep certain drives going. But, you know, New Hampshire kept coming. And, I mean, by the time UALBANY got a buzz going and got it going, you got to remember it's a different defense at that point. Once they're up 21-10, it's kind of, they're like, you know, let's pull back. Let's let them try to come to us. We don't have to go after them. They got to come to us. So I think that, you know, New Hampshire did what they did. And let me make this clear on the sideline, and you'll see it in the article, you know, Coach Santos, I'm not going to repeat it, you know, everything he said. He just said, let's score a touchdown, take their soul. That's when he broke that big run.
Yeah, you on the other side, so you heard exactly what.
I heard exactly what he said, and you know that's when you saw everybody leave the stand. That was the dagger, man. People left. It was a wrap. So,
yeah. So we got to touch on both sides because we primarily cover University of Albany.
Right.
Let's start off talking about the post game. Obviously, there was 3 players and a coach talking. The primary thing that I heard from each player and a coach was defensive penalties. And you talked about how that stopped them from stopping the drives in certain aspects of what New Hampshire was doing. What was it defensively? Do you think it was rust? Do you think it was just mental, not paying attention? There was a lot of penalties that stopped some momentum.
There was a lot of mistakes that was killing them. So I noticed in the game, and I wrote it on the side notes. So if you look, the first drive that New Hampshire scored on, right? There was penalties that UALBANY had. So one was a pass interference call, and it gave New Hampshire a set of downs, and they scored a touchdown. Then when they were down 14-0, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm looking at it, because I think at one point they were down 14-0. UALBANY was coming down the field, and then they were kind of like they were in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
They got a necessary roughness call that knocked them out of the red zone. They ended up trying to kick a field goal and they missed it.
Yep.
So then that was one. And then on the last drive that New Hampshire scored, they got a penalty call for unnecessary use of the hands to the face, and they got a pass interference call. That all helped them. And then that's not to mention, I forgot the receiver for number 1 for UALBANY. He dropped a touchdown pass. That's not to mention also was it 17? I think it was number 17, number 33. It was one of them. He fumbled a punt, and then New Hampshire ended up scoring off of that also. So when you look at all the mistakes and penalties that UALBANY made,
number 1, Julian Hicks.
Julian Hicks, right? And then there was the one that fumbled the punt. But when you look at all the mistakes UALBANY made, they gave New Hampshire. They spotted them some points. Let me put it to you that way. They spotted them at least 10. Maybe 17. About 17 points of them they spotted.
With the missed field goal, that kind of shooting yourself in the foot, man.
Well, it's the missed field goal, but anybody knows when you're in the red zone, that's the least you want to get as a field goal. Had they not, let's just say New Hampshire stopped them, your chances of kicking a field goal is way better than where it was kicked at, after that call. So they kind of just shot themselves in the foot, which I'm pretty sure knowing Coach Godso, he's gonna I'm pretty sure he's gonna work on that this week.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of running drills.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, I know we talked before the podcast, and he was like, "Yeah, they're showing it." You're saying it looked close, but it wasn't as close as you think.
No.
So, in my opinion, to the people that's gonna watch this on a playback, I'm more of the basketball guy, but I'm into football as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like they went out swinging, man. My partner just crushed my dreams. Was like, no. The score looks like that, but it's because New Hampshire let them back in the game.
Because go ahead.
No, I was about to throw it to you. Is that
because
the only reason?
Yes, because New Hampshire was playing a different defense. New Hampshire was up 21-3 in the third quarter. So at that point, they're kind of, beating up on them. And I mean, UALBANY was getting stops. Shout out to UALBANY's defense. They eventually did get stops because they wanted to get them off the field or whatever. But at the end of the day, it just looked like, New Hampshire was on them 21-3. So it's just at this point, UALBANY's got to come out of that run. Even though it's the third quarter, they got to get something going. So they tried a few things, and they did. But it's a different defense. You're playing a different defense. It's just like, how can I put it? Like Philly played Detroit yesterday, right? The Eagles played the Lions, so I was watching that game. And the Lions did put up points, but the Eagles were beating on them. So it's like, the Lions were scoring, but you're scoring after you're down by 14 or 20 points. We're kind of looking like you're just kind of really just playing catch up because the Eagles are playing a different defense. And that was kind of the equivalent of New Hampshire. It's like what Santos said. He said, we kind of got relaxed. I think he wanted them to methodically move down the field. Meaning, in other words, play a shell and give up stuff in front of you within a 10-yard. Don't let them get deep. Don't let them get deep. So, that's what I think they got passes down the field. And shout out to the Poffenberg. I hope I'm saying
first name Reese.
Reese, yeah. Shout out to Reese, the UALBANY quarterback. Because he did take some shots downfield, and he made some passes, and the receivers made some great catches, which I think going forward they can build on, because I think going into this, and we'll talk about this too, because we haven't really talked about UALBANY for the season.
Okay.
But they had a lot to build on from this game. I think that, like I said, they just got to figure it out. But he definitely took some shots downfield. It seemed like, even though they were playing different defense, he had to take those shots because they weren't trying to really give those up, but he made it anyway. He made it happen.
Can we? Nice transition. Can we talk about the quarterback?
Yeah, you want to talk about the? Yeah. Okay. So to go into it, like we didn't really do a season preview for UALBANY. I mean, I think because when we did our last show, they were going to Baylor, so they weren't even here. And we had just kind of ran into going to Rhode Island and Stony Brook.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is with UALBANY, last year they finished the season 3-8. Under Cuffler, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. He decided that he wanted to move on to greener pastures. I don't know what happened. The coach has never really talked about it. So we, whatever it is, it's water under the bridge. You also lose Carl Mofo, who is,
graduated.
Yeah, right. He was their primary back. Then there was the tight end Green, that's there now. He's a beast. But so he's there. I think coming into this season, we all thought Joey Carano, and I'm like once again, like I said, I'm saying his name, Joey. I think everybody thought he was going to be a starter, because I think last season when under Cuffler, when they went to William and Mary, Joey Carano was the guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was the guy that was supposed to. He came in and he played well, and it looked like he's more familiar. Even when we went to the spring game, he looked more comfortable with the game. And then I looked up, and I don't know.
Starter.
Yeah, he wasn't the starter. So when they went to Baylor, it was the other quarterback, which is
can I ask you?
Yeah.
Isn't that a good thing? Don't you want competitions to breed out who's the best?
Yeah. And like I said, it's kind of I always go into the Tim Tebow analogy.
Okay.
Tebow wins games. He looks good on the field winning games, but it's not the best way to.
It's a soft spot to me as a Steelers fan, because they knocked us out the playoffs. But go ahead.
I feel you, but the thing is like he was winning games, and people say, why would you take a guy like that out? Because they're seeing something in practice that we're not seeing. We're seeing him win, but in practice we're like, yo, how far is this really going to get us? We can keep winning, but there's going to come a time when he's going to have to stay in the pocket and be the guy. So I think with whatever Gatto was seeing, he's seeing it as like right now this guy gives us the best chance to win. It's not any shot at Joey, but I think maybe he feels like he gives the best chance to win, which in the second half of that game the other night, he showed he's capable of being a starting quarterback. That's clear and evident. But I think that going into the season, you came out 3-8. You have to do better. You lost one of your quarterbacks because it was stated he had like 2 years left at
2 years eligibility.
And he still got up and said, look, I'm going to greener pastures. There was clearly an issue. Now, I don't know what issue that was, like I said, but there's clearly an issue. You lost him. You lost Mofo. You have a tight end. You have now this year coming in a new quarterback, not the quarterback that everybody thought you was going to put in there. And what was the number one, the other receiver, number one?
Julian Hicks.
So I think we're going into the season. It looks like with and let me pull up this stat, like still to sheet, because he did run for 100 yards. Todd Sibley.
Yep.
Todd Sibley's a good running back.
We're going to talk about all three of them.
So that running game it looks efficient when they're playing a balanced game. Their defense, I think, is okay as long as it's good enough to hold. But I think really the issue with UALBANY is, one, are they going to do better than what they did last season? And two, how are they going to do it? Because at this point, let's be honest, you don't got Green back there. It was Green and it was the other kid. I forgot his name. There's so many names. But they had when they went to the playoffs the year before, when they had under Cuffler, they had two primary receivers. They had a tight end that could work the field. They had Mofo that could get underneath and run the ball down your throat. They had weapons, and you got a defense that can complement whatever they do, the offense does. Then you fast forward, you lost all those pieces. So I don't want to use the word restart, but you're going to have to build with whatever you're building from last season. I don't know. I mean, because with Ridley.
Oh, you don't know, buddy. I do know.
Let me tell you something.
I do know.
Okay,
we're going to get into it.
Let me say this, and this is my analogy. If I'm another team, because you always ask me, how you look at it. So the thing is with UALBANY, I think, and New Hampshire got caught slipping. I saw it. Teams don't feel like they can beat you deep. They don't feel like UALBANY can beat them deep. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? They don't feel like you're going to be able to beat them deep. teams feel like that.
We're going to go to the clip. Hold on before you press play on that. Oh, yeah. I was waiting for this transition. So we talking about UALBANY, and I tweeted out, there was a lot of positive things that UALBANY can take heading into Fordham. So before we play the clip, I had to let my partner get his off, but I got to get mine too.
Yeah.
Man, number 7 was looking bad yesterday. Reese Poffenberger, number 7, the quarterback. He went 18 for 27.
Okay.
263 yards, 2 touchdowns. It was supposed to be 20 for 27. 2 passes that I got was pass interference, and one of them was going deep to that touchdown. I hope that's what you wasn't alerting to when you said it was a drop touchdown. But if he would have hypothetically caught that and would have been 20 or 27, that was a bad game. Forget the passes and the completion. One thing that I saw being on that sideline, he looked comfortable in that pocket.
He did.
He wasn't looking scary. When it came, he knew how to scramble. He knew how to get out. He knew how to make runs and reads. Now, there was some times where he stayed a little too long, and you saw that with him getting sacked.
Yeah.
Kid looked extremely comfortable. I'm just going to give you guys who's going to watch on a playback just a prime example of his accuracy. Here's one of the highlights that we have of him. Now, this is Reese. He's about to hit Julian Hicks off. Watch where he places this ball. Right on the right shoulder and the right hand, one hand cuffed. That's how they get down the field.
Okay.
Even his bad passes that was incomplete was looking accurate like that. And I'm not just hyping it up because I caught it on video, but you guys can see it on the playback. That was going deep, 17, 20 yards over the right shoulder where he put it right there for him to cuff it with one arm. I saw that a few times from him. Reese, I see, and it's no disrespect to the other quarterback.
Under Cuffler or the
No.
Okay, the New Hampshire quarterback?
No. I'm talking about the guy he battled in the summer with, the guy that we thought, Joey Carino. No disrespect to him. But watching this game, watching them highlights and them clips that I got, there's a reason why he run that starting job. That's who you want being placed in that situation. He was comfortable going deep. He's showing that, hey, you put me in this situation, I'm not breaking under pressure. From that clip that I showed you and you being at the game, what did you think about his presence first starting? Did he look nervous? What was your overall take from his performance?
No, I don't think he looked nervous. I think I think what I was kind of scratching my head about is like why you're not hitting the tight end as much as you should have.
Okay.
I always felt like the tight end that's the strength of UALBANY. And I don't understand why they weren't going to him early. Like, you got to get that guy. Are you
referring to Thomas Greeny?
Yeah, you got to get Greeny in there early. You have to make him the focal point. Either him or you start running Ridley. Like Ridley and Greeny are your guys. The number one, that guy that the young boy, what's his name?
That from that play.
Yeah.
So let me just real quick. That play came after they hit Greeny off a few times. So that goes to your point. They got Greeny started. Yeah. Then once they loaded up on him, now you go to the opposite side of the field with Julian Hicks and Roy Alexander.
Right. I think last year they didn't. I mean, with Hicks, I don't think Hicks was there last season, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember if he was. He didn't pop off the screen last year. Let me put it to you that way. So my whole thing is that I think I think Hicks will be okay. This is a young team. It's going to take time. I think they will do better than what they did last year, which is what they had 3 wins. So I can't give you a win total exact, but it'll be more than 3. I don't know if there'll be enough to make a playoff run, but we'll see. But it'll be way more than 3 wins. I can assure you, coach is not going to go for any less.
Definitely. Now, we talked about the quarterback and the receivers. Can we talk about the running game? Yeah, because I saw a lot of Sibley.
Sibley, I'm sorry.
Number 0, Sibley.
Yeah, I apologize, Sibley. Yes.
I saw a lot of positive from him. Is he a grad student? Because then he come from a Division I Pittsburgh, I believe.
Yeah. He's a graduate. Yes.
Kid is a very dynamic back, very strong, very powerful. Rushed for over 100 yards, I believe.
Yes.
Had a great game despite, he kind of was humble about it, saying personal stats don't matter when you lose, and he's correct. And it was a very mature statement for him in the post game when he said that. I saw a lot of pinball movement. You know what pinball is?
Yeah.
Bing.
Yeah.
3 people try to load up on him. He bouncing off him like a pinball.
Right.
That kid is nice, man.
Right.
What you got to say about him?
I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. I think he's dope all around. I think he's gonna be I think if Albany is gonna be successful in getting wins this year, he's gonna have to be one of the other keys.
Do you think they utilized him as much as they should have?
Yes. I think he would have got utilized more had those penalties not come into effect and had they not got down 21-3. You probably would have seen him play more of a part of the offense. But when you're down 21-3, you got to come out of that run. Running is like very few and far in between, and you could kind of see it. That's why I kind of give Huffenberger like respect, because you knew he had to pass to get on the field, and then you knew you were giving him yards, but he kind of took yards that you weren't even trying to give him. So they just. My thing is, you'll kind of see how good they are when they're not having penalties. So if their penalties aren't doing it, we'll see how it works. We'll see how it works out. And if they're getting wins, and that tells you this was a game that they more shot themselves in the foot than it was New Hampshire. But, New Hampshire, shouts out to New Hampshire. They did what they had to do. I think they did what I think UALBANY should do. They methodically moved down the field. They kept them on drives like 6-7 minutes. That's a long time for a defense to be on that field. So, I think they were looking to go in there with a fight. They went in there to fight, and they went in there and won.
Definitely. I want to show how powerful this kid is. Can we load up that 5th clip? This is a clip of Todd Sibley Jr., the running back, number 0. This is very dynamic, very powerful runner that came from a Wildcat offense, if I'm correct. He can get that anytime he wants. Yeah, that's just a little. That was only one touchdown. There was plenty of other clips of him bouncing off people like a pinball, breaking through for an extra 5 yards. There was one clip I have where like 3 people tried to tackle him, and he just bounced through that wall, man, broke through for like 15 yards.
Right.
Very dynamic back, man. I'm really confident in these weapons that they have. I'm confident in Thomas Greeny. I'm confident in Julius Hicks, Alexander, and I'm confident in the quarterback. I see a lot of promise. Although they have a new quarterback, like you said, hopefully they learn from the penalties,
right,
and get some learn from the penalties. So when you go on for them, you're not shooting yourself in the foot,
right?
Because it's a lot of pressure now.
And
you don't want to go down 0-3.
Anytime you're playing away, the key to always winning an away game, especially in football, is to be able to run the ball and stop the run.
Okay.
And playing good defense. So, I mean, when they go to Fordham, they're going to clearly have to run the ball and stop the run and play good defense. If they're not able to do that, it's not going to work out well for them.
I want to say one of the weapons that we've been talking about is the tight end.
Yeah, Greeny.
Thomas Greeny. You're right. I agree with your assessment of that. Because what I saw, obviously there's tall and big tight ends, but the person that was guarding him was like 5'11". Thomas Greeny looks at least, if I'm 6 foot, Thomas Greeny looks at least 6'4", 6'5".
Right. Yeah, he's a big boy.
He's going to have the advantage over multiple people guarding him.
Yeah.
You just have to study film and pick your poison and do the matchups correctly. That's on the coaches. I'm not going to talk on that. What did you see with his ability to move the way he was moving yesterday?
I think he's exactly what I thought he was, which is a beast. I think he's, I think if they're going to win or they're going to have success this season, it's going to have to go through him.
Okay.
It's going to have, especially in the air. When
so
it comes to going in the air.
on Greeny's shoulder?
Yeah, I'm putting that on Greeny's shoulders. And he's quite
Greeny.
capable of holding that weight.
Hey, Greeny, 6'5", you got big shoulders, man. we gonna need you to carry the Danes to about 7 wins.
Yeah.
We got confidence in you, man.
I think he'll be able to do it. That the tight end set, because when he gets going, they can't be stopped. And you got that running back that they, once if he gets a hole, it's over. So I think that he's gonna be straight. But yeah, he has to. They have to get the ball through him. They have to. It's kind of like let me put an analogy. So right now with this being aired, this is the night after the Cowboys game.
Okay.
Let me tell you what I saw, right? And this is why I keep saying you got to get him involved and at least have him move down the field and also get number one involved. I saw him with Tampa. They started creeping because so CeeDee Lamb's their star guy. This is before Dak got out of there. They started creeping. First quarter, second quarter. By third quarter, it was up on man, like literally right here, like how mean you are. Their corners were creeping because they weren't scared for them to go deep. So meaning like they was like, and then once that got hurt, they really didn't care because we already had a rhythm where you wasn't even really going deep anyway. And you didn't show us you wanted to go deep. And nobody was really beating us even underneath. So you don't want in Albany, as much as they can get, the yards with the running back, and they can methodically move with Greeny. You got to make sure, because you got to make the defense back up. You can't have them start creeping. And I kind of felt with New Hampshire, they started seeing, they were getting pressure. Let's be honest about that. They were getting pressure. But, it's like what you said. They fed Greeny, and then they went to number one. You get what I'm saying? So it makes the defense start backing up a little bit and being honest. But if you
gotta pick your poison.
But if you keep doing what you're doing, and you're not showing that you can get down the field, that defense will start coming up and creeping till they're playing you man on man, and it's gonna really be hard because what it is that you don't want to, even though you like to have that fight within the 10 yards, you kind of want them to start feeling like, yeah, you can methodically down the field, but we know you're gonna try to take a deep shot, so we're gonna stay honest. You understand what I'm saying? So I think Greeny could really do that. And Greeny's the type of tight end, he can fight you in the 10 yards, or he can go down the seam of the field and he can get you. And you're going to really be in trouble if that happens.
We're going to have to load up that last clip because this is perfect, this transition. We're going to talk about how Reese Poffenberger just aired it out on this. And it was like one of the highlights of the game on the UALBANY side, where he was targeting Greeny and just aired it out, and Greeny went up and really killed it. Did we got that last clip loaded?
Complete to number 89, Travis Greeny. It's the great game touchdown.
Greeny could get that whenever he wants. That's just one. He had a second touchdown on the opposite side of the field as well. So to your point, I think there's a lot of teams, there's going to be a lot of mismatches for him.
Yeah.
You just got to do the right read. Reese looks very confident launching it down the field. Put it up there, let him go get it.
Yeah.
Who's going to stop him? He's 6'5". He's athletic. He's in shape. Look like he got a little vertical on him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he can get down the field. He can get down the field and get a deep threat. He can definitely get down the field.
7 receptions, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns, man.
Yeah, he's listed as 6'5". So
6'5".
Right.
Yeah. Good job on that, Greeny. So we talked about a lot of the positive things that we saw. Before heading into Fordham, what do you think that UALBANY needs to fix so you don't have that 0-3 start?
Discipline. They need to be disciplined. Some of those points that they gave, and I know what's killing them, because I think Monday they go into the film room I think Monday you go into film. Saturday, Sunday you just get away, you stay away. You process what happened, and then Monday I think you go into the film room. So I know the coach I don't even think he has to go in the film room because he saw what we saw. So I know his thing is we got to stay disciplined. We can't give up points. There's teams that you can't just give up, picks. You can't throw. You got to make certain reads. You have to stay disciplined. In other words, you can't be getting penalties that's going to cost you when you're in the red zone. You can't be, and mind you, have you missing field goals or settling field goals. You can't get penalties that are going to keep drives alive for the opposing team because that really hurt them. That, you know what I mean? And then you keep the drive alive, and then you keep the defense on longer. And mind you, when you keep your defense on there longer, the flip side as your offense is not getting on the field.
Yep.
So they're not getting in rhythm. They're off track. They're off beat because they're not in repetition. So I think with him, with UALBANY, they have to be disciplined. If they're disciplined, I don't think they can be beat, or I think they can win more games than what's expected. But if they keep making these mistakes, it's gonna keep costing them. Baylor, nobody's thinking about that. That was what it was. With New Hampshire, it was the theme line that came out of this was discipline. You need to discipline yourself, and if you can discipline yourself, you could have been on the other end of that. And I know that's got to be killing the coach, and that's got to be killing the players once they see that film.
I definitely agree with you. My other take is you're going to have to practice that stopping the run. Mm-hmm. Because if I'm other teams and I go in the film and I see what Dylan did to y'all, I know there's other dynamic backs in CAA football.
Yeah.
Because there was other ones that receive awards. Their coach is going to look at that film and say, "Oh, you want to go out and get 300 yards? What they going to do to stop you? They couldn't stop Dylan." Yeah. So outside of the discipline, there has to be better defense, and attention to detail on the runs.
Okay.
Because that last play that broke the camel back, where they was literally in the middle of the field, and I don't know the offensive plays, what you want to call that play where they just threw him a little hitch and he just ran around everybody for like 30 yards.
Yeah.
Other teams is going to eat that up. So UALBANY, whoever's watching film, really practice the run defense, man. But yeah, that's my take on that.
Okay.
They just released the Players of the Week awards. I'm going to go through that real quick for the people who's tuned into the CAA football conference. I got to load it up, so I'm going to shout out the players, the student athletes that worked hard for their respective teams and grabbed these awards. So first, CAA football announced co-offensive player of the week, Dylan from New Hampshire. Set his career high, 202 yards, 32 carries, 3 touchdowns. Second, co-offensive player of the week, Jaden, running back from Monmouth. Rushed for 299 yards, 2 touchdowns on 12 carries. That's a monster performance. CAA football defensive player of the week, Kareem Jones, cornerback from William and Mary. Had a 33-yard pick six that went the other way. CAA football special teams player of the week, Jeff York from Elon. 44 yards on 5 punts. CAA football rookie of the week, Pena from Rhode Island. Had 6 tackles and 3.5 sacks. That's a monster defensive performance.
Yeah.
So shout out to all the student athletes in the CAA football conference, man. Looking forward to this, man. It's only week 2 and it's getting exciting.
Yeah, facts.
So going into week 3, what do you think is going to be the game to watch out? You hit me with this with the NFL, man. You be like, yo, D, this is the game of the week that we got to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And the CAA football conference, out of all the teams playing, do you got somebody we should pay attention to? Because you've been right so far.
Yeah, I was right about a lot of it. Let me pull up the. So many games.
So many games.
The one that, before I go into that, the reason why New Hampshire and Albany, they were the only conference game.
Okay.
So, they lived up to their hype, which has got to be good for Flow Sports.
Got Villanova versus Army, Richmond versus Lehigh, Delaware versus Rhode Island, UALBANY versus Fordham. We're going to be at that one. Townsend versus West Virginia, Georgetown and Monmouth.
Yeah, Delaware against Rhode Island.
They both high-power offenses. What did you tell me about? It was either Rhode Island or Delaware. You said that, yo, D, that's another game they put up 31 points. Am I correct?
Yeah. It's really Rhode Island puts up points. Facts. They put up points a lot. They always put up points. But the thing I said before, the thing with Rhode Island, they're not just putting up 31 points. They're putting up 31 points and stopping other teams. Before they used to score 31 points and then they would lose like 32-31 or 34-31 or 36-35. Now they're stopping people. So yeah, I think when it comes to one game that is definitely looking forward to is Delaware and Rhode Island. That's a game to definitely watch. And also Hampton and Norfolk State.
Yeah, shout out to them HBCUs, man.
Yeah.
I so can't wait. And I got love for all the teams in the CAA football conference, but I can't wait to hit an HBCU game, man.
Yeah. See the HBCU team. So I think looking at them, because Hampton, they're 2-0, and they're definitely a team to watch. So I think they're even though there's let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8. I think there's 8 undefeated teams. That number is going to dwindle after this week.
What you got, about 4?
Yeah, there's about 4 of them. That's
okay.
I would
simple
assume
math, quick math.
Yeah. I'm hoping I'm wrong. Because I don't know. Let me also say this, because this is really our first week, really just all about the CAA. They were beating Division I teams, about 2 or 3 of them. And if I think off the top of my head, William and Mary did it.
They beat Charlotte.
Delaware did it. Somebody else did it too. I'm missing one team out of here. It might have been Hampton, whoever it was. But there was 2 or 3 teams that beat Division I teams. So, in other words, what I'm saying, I think because there's a conference play where it's Delaware and Rhode Island, so somebody's got to lose unless it's a tie. And then there's the other games. They're playing Division I teams. So I mean, there might be 1 or 2 teams. I'm hoping I'm right about that. It might just be 1 or 2 teams. I'm hoping it's not 4. But there'll be 1 or 2 teams that won't be undefeated anymore.
You got a case on it?
That what, there's less than 2?
Let's for the case of Pepsi, man.
That there's less than 2 or more
over
than 2?
Or under on 2?
I want to say over 2.
Okay.
Over 2. I hope I'm wrong. I would rather just give you the case and hope I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? So.
Well, yo, man. We got anything else on the CAA so far?
No, it's just been great so far. I love covering the CAA. I think it's there's a lot of talent out there in college football, and you can't catch and see and watch everything. So I think, for me to see a lot of players, and a lot of players have come out of the CAA, believe it or not, a lot of people don't know that. So to see the talent up front and to see it up close and personal, have access to it, it's just a great thing. It's something where you can't put into words. You know what? Here's one more shout out. Let me give a shout out to, and this definitely got to go in the clip. Let me give a shout out to Miss Yasmin. She is AJ Cornelius' mother. It's a Rhode Island. He's a Rhode Island offensive lineman.
Okay.
Offensive line for the Rhode Island Rams. Let me give her a shout out too, because she kind of, retweets our stuff and helps promote us too.
Definitely. I want to.
She's also clearly agreeing with me that I think Rhode Island's going to be the top team coming out of conference.
We got 5 minutes left, and now you want to start.
I'm just reiterating what I saw. That's all.
Now all the teams in the CAA. It's your boy. I'm taking it easy for the first couple weeks.
Oh goodness!
My partner Azar jumped out the window, man. He's put a bullseye on the Rhode Island Rams. So now, hey, Rhode Island, y'all gonna have all the teams gunning for y'all because he's seeing y'all coming out. He's saying this. Yo, he's saying what you saying. They got 9 wins in them.
I'm not predicting them win. I just said that they're going to be one of the top teams to go into the playoffs. That's what I said.
Them versus Villanova.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they can be one of be right up there with Villanova. Yes, I truly believe that.
Yeah, man. Well,
it's a long season, so anything can happen.
Like I said before, shout out to all the student athletes. Shout out to all the teams in the CAA football conference. It's a great conference. Shout out to the commissioner of the CAA football conference.
Yes.
More importantly, shout out to the team that we're primarily covering, the University of Albany, UA. You know, shout out to the players, man. Hope we see a UALBANY victory over Fordham. Shout out to everybody that supports the content that we put out. We'll be putting out a lot of content, articles, reviews, recaps, exclusives, clips, highlights. Just, making it fun and entertaining, following CAA football. This whole conference, we're gonna be the top content creators. I'll say that. So if you're looking for some highlights from some games that we're at, just tune in to Enveonline on Twitter, on the social medias. Any game we show up, we're going to deliver some dope content. Got anything else, man?
No, that's it.
Shout out to the CAA football conference, all the student athletes. We'll check you next week to follow up on the game UALBANY versus Fordham. And we'll be back with another episode covering some CAA content. We out.
Salute.